Some nights the laptop stays open even after I've closed myself. Its glow spills into the kitchen like a restless guest that never takes the hint. The counters are quiet, the dishes stacked neatly, the hum of the fridge steady and low. But on the table sits one small object that says more than any email, the office badge. It waits there, plastic and silent, as if reminding me I never truly left. The badge doesn't weigh much, yet it carries the whole day inside it. Hours of nodding at meetings, of saying yes, I can handle that, of performing small smiles for approval. Hours of keeping the green light glowing on the chat window, as if presence were proof of worth. It is astonishing how a rectangle of plastic can hold so much of who we pretend to be. You know that feeling, don't you? When work follows you home, not in the form of a boss's text or a buzzing notification, but as an ache that lingers in your shoulders, in your chest. You change rooms, but the role clings to you. You're still carrying the day's performance long after the performance has ended. I look at the badge and wonder who I am without it. Am I still valuable when it's not around my neck? Am I still worthy when there are no numbers, no charts, no polite nods to prove it? The badge is meant to be an entry pass, but sometimes it feels more like a mask. There's an honesty in how it just sits there on the counter. Unlike me, it doesn't pretend. It doesn't smile when it doesn't want to. It doesn't nod along to protect harmony. It simply waits. And maybe that's why it unsettles me, because I want to rest like that too. It is late. The house is dark except for the blue light spilling from the laptop, except for that square of plastic catching a bit of the glow. I should close the computer. I should push the badge into a drawer. But I don't. Instead, I sit with them both, as if staring long enough might answer the question that haunts me. How much of myself have I given away just to keep belonging? There's a sigh that comes when you realize the show has gone on too long, mind you. The applause never lasts, yet the exhaustion does. And in that sigh, there's something like truth. Tonight, I notice how heavy silence feels when it's filled with unfinished work and unspoken words. I notice how the body tells the truth even when the mouth won't. The slump in my shoulders, the dull ache in my temples, the longing for a pause. And I notice the badge, still there, still waiting, small but unignorable. Sometimes symbols choose us. I didn't set out to make the badge my mirror, but here it is. A quiet witness to the part of me that longs to be seen not as a performer, not as a role, but as a person. And maybe you know this feeling too. Maybe you've walked through your front door and realized your workday never really ended. Maybe your badge looks different. A uniform, a phone that won't stop buzzing, a voice in your head rehearsing tomorrow's tasks. Whatever form it takes, it waits for you at home like mine does, whispering that you're never off stage. But here's what I want to offer you. The badge is not the whole of you. It is only an object. It cannot measure your worth. It cannot define your heart. Tonight, as it sits on my counter, I choose to see it not as a chain, but as a clue. A reminder that if I want to stop performing, I will need to start choosing. The kettle hums softly in the corner, and I reach for a mug. Warm steam rises, cutting through the chill of the late hour. For a moment, I let myself breathe. The badge is still there, waiting. But so am I. And tomorrow, when I pick it up again, I want the choice to feel different. The badge is still on the counter when morning light comes through the blinds. I glance at it while pouring coffee, as if it's another pair of eyes watching me. It waits quietly, but I know what it means. The performance is about to begin again. Every morning, there's a choice that doesn't feel like one. I clip the badge on, log in, turn the green dot on and chat. My body sits at the desk, but my heart lingers elsewhere. Inside, I'm asking a question I rarely speak aloud. Who am I performing for? It's not just the company. It's not just the paycheck. Sometimes it's for the people on the other side of the screen. The ones who expect me to have quick answers and agreeable smiles. Sometimes it's for colleagues who measure presence more than impact, and sometimes, painfully, it's for no one at all. Just the part of me that believes worth must always be earned. The tension shows up in the smallest moments. A meeting runs long and I nod along, though my chest tightens with impatience. A request drops into my inbox at 5:30 p.m. and I type, "Sure, happy to help," while my shoulders sink. I smile on camera. I smile in the hallway, but inside the silence is growing louder. Here is the contradiction. I want to be seen as dependable, yet I feel invisible. I want to contribute, yet I feel consumed. Every smile I perform costs me another piece of silence I never get back. There's a peculiar weight to pretending. It's heavier than the work itself. Tasks may be tiring, but pretending, the constant yes, the constant applause chasing, it eats away at something deeper. It steals rest before I even reach my bed. Sometimes I wonder if anyone notices. Could they tell the difference between my real laugh and the one I practice to sound polite? Could they sense how often I mute myself in meetings, not because I have nothing to say, but because the words feel like more performance? I think of the badge again. It is meant to prove belonging, but lately it feels like proof of something else. How often I give away pieces of myself to be accepted, and yet I don't know how to stop. If I pull back, will I be forgotten? If I stop saying yes, will I become replaceable? If I admit that I am tired, will they see me as weak? These questions circle my mind as I sit at my desk. They're not loud, but they're steady. And they reveal the real contradiction. I am torn between the performer and the person. The performer is always smiling, always delivering, always available. The person longs for rest, for honesty, for space to be imperfect and still worthy. I think of how much I've built my identity on being the one who can be counted on. It is flattering, but it is also suffocating. Because when people applaud the performer, the person inside remains unseen. Naming this doesn't make the tension vanish, but it softens its grip. Saying it aloud, even if only to myself in the quiet kitchen, feels like reclaiming a little dignity. It is not weakness to admit the strain. It is not failure to say, I can't keep pretending. The badge sits on the counter again tonight. I take it off and place it down. The small click against wood echoing louder than the whole day's meetings. For once I let it rest without rushing it into my bag. For once I let myself rest too. And as I stand there, I feel both relief and fear. Relief at the honesty. Fear at what it might cost me if I carry less of the performer into tomorrow. But maybe this is where healing begins. In recognizing the split without judgment. In saying to myself, yes, that's me. Both the performer and the person who longs to be free. The next morning begins like so many others, rushing through the kitchen, coffee half poured, emails already buzzing in my mind before I've left the door, but then it happens. In the hurry, I nearly forget the badge. It's still on the counter, resting in the same spot as last night. For a moment, I actually step toward the door without it. And in that small pause, the few seconds before I turn back, I feel something jolt inside me. It's not panic. It's not carelessness. It's a glimpse of life without the badge. The thought unsettles me. What if I didn't pick it up? My hand hesitates above it. The badge feels cool when I finally grab it, heavier than usual. Heavier because I see, just for a flicker, what I've been missing, myself. It is astonishing how such a small event can pierce through weeks of silence. I realize that in all my performing, I've been drifting. I've been losing not only time, but also presence. Birthdays skipped, dinners half attended, conversations tuned out. Friends have texted, "We never see you anymore." I've brushed it off, told myself it's just a busy season. But seasons are supposed to change. This one has stretched too long. That forgotten badge feels like a mirror. It shows me how close I am to losing the person I am outside the role. If I keep this up, I will vanish into the work, and no title, no paycheck, no polite applause will bring me back. There is a crack in me now, a small break that lets truth slip through. The performer cannot explain it away. This is no longer about productivity or approval. It's about presence, about a life I no longer want to sleepwalk through. The badge presses into my palm as I carry it to the door. Cold, sharp edges. For the first time, I notice how impersonal it is. A barcode, a photo that doesn't quite look like me anymore, a logo bigger than my name. How easy it has been to confuse wearing this with being whole. And in that realization, something aches, because I know what is at stake. If nothing changes, the cost won't just be tired evenings or stretched weekends. The cost will be me, the friend who shows up, the parent who listens, the neighbor who waves across the street. The badge will keep getting what's left of me, while life receives only scraps. The truth lands hard. Performing without choosing is self-erasure. I set the badge down again, just for a breath, as if to test my courage. The silence in the room feels different this time. Less like emptiness, more like invitation. Maybe I can choose how much of me the badge gets. Maybe I can decide that my worth is not bound to its plastic frame. This is the crack moment, the point where the mask slips, and I glimpse what I've been afraid to admit. I cannot keep going like this. Something will have to give, and I want it to be the performer, not me. When I finally clip the badge on and step out the door, I know the day ahead will look the same to others, but inside the ground has shifted. The performer is no longer unquestioned. The person inside has spoken, and once you hear that voice, you cannot unhear it. I walk into the morning air, coffee warming my hand, badge cool against my chest. Two different temperatures, two different truths. The question echoing in me is simple, and it will not leave. Whose life am I really living? The badge rests against my chest as I walk through the office doors. To everyone else, it looks ordinary, just another part of the uniform. But to me, after yesterday's near forgetting, it carries a question I can't shake. What would it mean to wear this with choice instead of by default? This is where Machiavelli slips in, not as a stern figure from a dusty book, but as a companion for this very moment. He reminds me of something simple, almost startling in its clarity. Power does not come from pleasing, it comes from choosing. For years I've worn the badge like proof of belonging, proof that I matter, proof that I've done enough to stay. But Machiavelli would tilt his head and ask, whose approval are you serving, and at what cost? In his world, loyalty is strategy, not sentiment. He might sound cold, but there's a warmth hidden in that clarity. He's saying, stop scattering your strength. Place it where it matters most. When I think of it this way, boundaries no longer feel selfish. They feel strategic. Choosing where to invest my energy isn't a betrayal of others. It's an act of integrity toward myself. The badge doesn't own me. I choose what it represents. On social media, people call it quiet quitting. But what if it's really quiet choosing? Choosing not to overspend the hours of my life. Choosing not to trade presents with my children, my partner, my own soul for a few more claps in the meeting room. Choosing not to confuse endurance with loyalty. It's easy to think Machiavelli speaks only to princes and power brokers. But in this modern world, each of us is a little kingdom. Our attention is our currency. Our time is our territory. Our energy is our defense. If we squander these on endless performance, we leave ourselves undefended, exhausted, invisible. But if we choose with care, even small choices become acts of sovereignty. I look around the office, the hum of keyboards, the murmur of half-hearted jokes, the weight of people pushing through another long morning. I know I'm not alone. Many of us are caught in this same contradiction, wanting to be seen, yet fearing the cost of stepping back. Machiavelli's realism whispers, be clear-eyed. Loyalty is precious, but not infinite. Place it wisely, or it will be taken for granted. That thought lands deep, because for so long, I've given my loyalty away without asking what it yields in return. Not just to my job, but to the endless scrolling, the constant availability, the expectation that I should always smile, always nod. And each time, I chipped away at something I could never replace, my own presence in my own life. So what does integrity look like here now? It looks like deciding when the badge is simply plastic, not identity. It looks like finishing a task with care, but not dragging it into my evenings like a shadow. It looks like saying no with respect, trusting that dignity grows from honesty, not from endless performance. The badge clinks softly as I sit down, and I let that sound remind me of choice. Each day I can wear it by obligation, or I can wear it by intention. One path erases me, the other preserves me. Machiavelli would call it strategy. I call it survival with integrity. And maybe you too are standing in front of your own badge. It may not be plastic. It may be your phone, your inbox, your own reflexive yes. Whatever it is, it waits for your decision. Will you keep performing for applause or start choosing where your power flows? The hum of the office continues, but inside, something has shifted. For the first time, the badge feels lighter, not because the work has changed, but because I have. The badge clicks softly against the counter when I set it down tonight. That sound has become more than habit. It feels like punctuation. A small reminder that work has its place, but it is not the whole sentence of my life. Still, realizations are only the beginning. What matters is what I do next. Integrity, I'm learning, is not a grand announcement. It is built in whispers, in small, deliberate choices that shape the day. So here are the practices I'm trying, gentle steps anyone can take. First, one true task. Every morning I ask, what is the one thing today that truly matters to me? Not to my boss, not to the metrics, but to the person I hope to be. Sometimes it's finishing a project with care. Sometimes it's calling my mother. Sometimes it's simply drinking coffee without a screen in front of me. By choosing one true task, I remind myself that my life isn't only about performance. It's about alignment. Second, a no-badge zone. At home, I've created a clear boundary. The badge stays on the counter. It doesn't follow me to the dinner table or into the bedroom or onto the couch when I'm with family. That little act changes everything. It tells my body, you are no longer on stage, you are home now. And over time, that boundary builds trust with myself and with the people I love. Third, one respectful no. This may be the hardest step of all. Saying no feels risky when we're used to being the dependable one. But each week, I practice saying no to one small request that would stretch me too thin. I try to say it kindly, without guilt. And every time I do, I feel a sliver of freedom. It reminds me that loyalty without boundaries is just depletion in disguise. These steps aren't dramatic, no one else may even notice them, but the person I most need to notice is me. I've realized something. Integrity isn't about abandoning my role or neglecting my work. It's about refusing to abandon myself while doing it. By placing my energy where it matters most, I become more present, both at work and at home. The badge has not disappeared. Tomorrow morning, I'll still clip it on, but I want to wear it differently now. Not as proof of worth, but as a tool I use consciously. Just like a key opens a door, the badge lets me into a building. But it doesn't define who I am once I'm inside. Maybe for you, the badge takes another shape. A phone that never leaves your hand, a to-do list that never ends, a smile you wear even when your heart feels heavy. Whatever form it takes, the question is the same. Will you let it own you, or will you choose how to use it? It is comforting to know that change doesn't have to be loud. It can start with a single boundary, a single pause, a single act of honesty. Even the smallest shift in rhythm can ripple through the day, softening the weight you carry. And here is a diamond line I hold on to. Freedom doesn't require quitting. It begins with choosing. So tonight, as the kettle hums and the house quiets, I set the badge down again. This time it feels like more than routine. It feels like a promise. A promise to remember that I am not only a performer. I am a person worthy of presence, worthy of rest, worthy of choice. The kitchen is quiet again tonight. The laptop is shut, the phone turned face down. And on the counter, the badge rests where it has rested so many nights before. But tonight it feels different. Not like a chain, not like proof of exhaustion. More like a mirror reflecting a choice I didn't know I could make. I pick it up slowly, turn it over in my hand. The photo stares back at me, the logo bold, the edges worn from years of swiping. For so long, this little rectangle told me who I was. It decided when I woke, when I stayed late, how much of myself I gave. And I obeyed because I thought worth lived in its plastic frame. But now, after these quiet weeks of noticing, pausing, daring to say small no's, the badge feels lighter. Because I finally understand it does not define me. I define what it means. There's a gentleness in that realization. Fred Rogers would call it belonging. The kind that doesn't need applause to be real. Oprah would call it power. The kind that rises when you stop apologizing for who you are. Together, their voices whisper through my heart. You are safe. You are strong enough to choose. I set the badge down again, this time with intention. The sound it makes, a soft clink on wood, no longer feels like surrender. It feels like closure. Like a boundary that honors my humanity. And I think of you, listening. Maybe your badge looks different. Maybe it's a buzzing phone you can't put down. Maybe it's the endless list on your fridge. Maybe it's the version of yourself that keeps smiling even when you're tired. Whatever it is, you know its weight. You know how it lingers, even in your quietest rooms. So I want to ask you gently, will you spend another day performing, or will you begin choosing? Not a dramatic overhaul, not a resignation letter, or a grand announcement. Just one choice today that says, my worth is not up for debate. Maybe it's leaving your phone in another room for an hour. Maybe it's finishing one task with care instead of scattering your strength across 10. Maybe it's sitting with a warm cup of tea and letting yourself breathe before the day swallows you whole. Small choices are how freedom begins. They may not look like much from the outside, but they carry the quiet power of integrity. And integrity, once tasted, is hard to forget. The badge will still be waiting for me tomorrow. The work will still need doing. But I will meet it differently now. Not as a performer desperate for applause, but as a person grounded in choice. And you can too. You don't have to prove your value by overextending. You don't have to disappear behind roles and expectations. You are enough, even when you step back. You are worthy, even when you rest. The world may not applaud these quiet acts, but you will feel them. And feeling them will remind you that life is not just endurance, it is presence. So tonight, as the kettle hums and the day slips into silence, I leave the badge on the counter with a kind of peace I haven't known in years. Tomorrow it will be there, waiting. But tonight, I let it wait. Because I know the truth now, but the badge does not own me. I own the choice to pick it up, or not. And that choice, small as it seems, is where freedom begins.